just get us started by telling us kind of your story, how you got involved with Plausible story, how we ended up here.
Yeah, so Plausible Analytics, the web analytics alternatives to Google Analytics. We started, now it's more than 6 years ago, or actually my co-founder, Uku, he is the developer. He started it as a solo developer. He built it a bit and like released a beta, and like he did some indie hacker, like kind of post in public kind of, promotion behind it just to kind of get some traction. And think about a year and 3-4 months into it, he saw that the kind of numbers were like stagnated. He got to, I think at that stage was about 400 MRR. So like say a year and a half into it, 400 MRR. It was like flat for a few months before that as well. It didn't really go anywhere. So he was like, he felt that he needs some help on the marketing side of things at least. And he read some of the blog posts I published. I published a blog post about Google Analytics alternatives. It's just in general how to de-Google your life, use less Chrome and the Gmail and all that. And he read that, he liked it. He reached out to me, just we didn't know each other. It was just a cold email, I guess you can say. I got it. I clicked on he shared the Plausible URL. I clicked on it. I really liked what he built. I'm a marketer. I've worked in a large company in a big marketing team, but also I'm a blogger on the side. So I kind of know from both perspectives as a blogger, but also as a part of marketing team. And I really liked what he built. Like I knew some of the other alternatives. Obviously, I had a lot of experience with Google Analytics itself, and I thought what he built had a lot of potential. And I was like, yeah, let's get on a call. And then we spoke a few times, and then we decided to work together. And here we are. Like, so I've been working with Uku together for 5 years now, more than 5.5 maybe. And Plausible is so now like almost 7 years, I guess. And yeah, we've now have a team. We're about to turn 11 in our core team. 11, I think next month we're gonna have our 11th person joining the team, and we have a few other like 4 or 5 others that work with us kind of part-time, helping us building different integrations and plugins. We have more than 15,000 paying subscribers. Between them, I think in on average there's some like 4 or 5 team members. So we have tens of thousands of people using the platform kind of daily, logging in and doing their work. So yeah, that's kind of the where we are and how we started.
And you guys are making more than $400 a month right now, right?
Yeah. So I think we've been part of that building public movement. We shared lots of our numbers, especially in the early years. I think the last number we shared was about 1 million or something ARR, annual recurring revenue, and that was a couple of years ago. And I think at that stage we were like maybe like this sharing, it was kind of motivational to people and kind of inspiring. But at some stage it kind of becomes like I was just like, what are we doing here, bragging? Or like, so basically we just stopped sharing. I think after I wrote a blog post like how we reached the 1 million with lots of details, and there's like lots of lessons learned and actual steps taken. And yeah, so yeah, I think that was the last number we shared. And then yeah, we've grown quite a lot since then. I think actually was it May? May was our best month yet. So
amazing.
like even like May a couple of months ago, yeah, that's so basically we're still growing very fast, and like I mentioned, we're growing the team, and then yeah, still doing well. Fingers crossed it continues.
Amazing. Yeah. So I think I read that blog post about how you got to 1 million ARR or something. It was a few years back, but that actually has kind of formed the basis of a lot of the questions I'm curious about today. One of those sort of related to your building in public. So I'm really curious as to your experience building open source. So correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that Plausible is totally open source. Anyone can fork at any time and just create a competitor, I mean, literally tomorrow. So what's your experience there? I think look at that from the outside, it looks and sounds insane. Of like, these guys have made it so easy to compete with them. What's the deal?
Yes. So yeah, Plausible, when I joined Uku, we were not open source. So we open source maybe, let's say 6 months into me joining. And this was both of us first time we worked on any project like as founders, and first time we worked on an open source project as well. So we're learning a lot during this journey. And we've learned a lot about being open source. And yeah, like every time some of the other founders ask me like, should we go open source? And like they're all kind of afraid of that side of like anyone can fork you and create a competitor just with a few button clicks on GitHub theoretically, or actually, yes, they can. And so yeah, we've learned, for example, like we started with something that's called a very like a permissive license, which is like the default that GitHub presents you when you create a new project. And we've learned, for example, that permissive license is not something that fits what we try to achieve. We want to have an open source project because it allows people to transparently look into what we're doing and whether that matches with the words we're using in our marketing and communication. But we also want to be able to make a living from this. And there's this thing in open source that a lot of projects are struggling. They don't get the funding and they rely on like sponsors, and it's not very consistent, and they're like basically underfunded. Many of the big projects are really underfunded, or they rely on like Google or Facebook sponsoring them with or for the reasons if they use them and so on. So basically, we were like, we like to be open source for many reasons, but we also like to have a project that we can get salaries, we can build a team, and it can all work, and we can stay independent without sponsors, without investors, and so on. So we've learned, for example, that this permissive license that we had was not ideal because it turned out after we went viral a few times on Hacker News and so on, and we started sharing some of these numbers, that it was so easy to actually replicate and create a competitor. Just change the name from Plausible to whatever else, or even to use the name Plausible. So we've changed the license. I think now there's like maybe 3 years ago or something, and there's a blog post there which I wrote with lots of details behind it and thinking behind it and what we chose, and that has helped. And then that has helped reduce, because now the new license requires you to actually open source the fork that you fork from us. So that kind of restricts many from what they wanted to do or what they could do before. And then we still realized that 3 years after that change, it helped, but it didn't help that much or not enough, because we still had companies way larger than us with way more employees, way more customers. They basically used our work for free, and also not only that, they were reselling that work or using that to promote their product or sell to their customers. And so we made a new change, I think it was last year, there we actually, couple of the features we have, the new features we released last year or the year before, I think it was, those features, they're transparent, the code is there on GitHub as well, but they are not part of that self-hosted release that we have, which means that, and it has a different license, which means that those 3-4 features, these companies that want to use our product and our brand and so on, to resell, they are not they're not available, those 3-4 features, and they cannot use them. So basically, it's nice. We love being open source for being transparent and giving people the freedom to do what they want, and being able to look into what we're doing as well. But there are some of these things we've learned over the last 4 or 5 years, and things we've fixed, and I think so far so good. I think obviously maybe 3 years down the line we learn something else, and it's still need to make some other changes. But I think our current stage, we're pretty happy. We still have this self-hosted release, and we can still kind of give our product for free to people that want to use it that way on their servers. But it doesn't threaten us as much as a whole project and a kind of like having the 11 people on our team and needing to pay salaries and so on. So I think so far so good.
So I think we kind of talked about some of the downsides of open source there, but as far as the upsides, could you give me sort of a list of pros versus the cons? And then sort of on a more general level, if you were starting something similar to Plausible today, would you open source or would you do more closed, or kind of how would you set that up if you were starting, say, a business from scratch?
I think the biggest advantage really, and why we really wanted open source, was this transparency, because we are in the privacy first world. At least Plausible is the privacy first product, and there's that thing about trust and transparency, because like Google Analytics and most of the other tools that people use on marketing side, they're closed source. So you kind of trust what they say. You cannot see anything, what's happening. And we really wanted to have that kind of break that and kind of open it up so people can actually, I mean, people like me, a marketer, I cannot go read that code, but people that actually know how to, the code, and they can actually go check how Plausible works. They can install it and run it on their machine. They can actually test things and look into things way, way better than they can do a Google Analytics or other services. So that was definitely the biggest motivation behind this. And I think I actually, even for other, or if we were to start a new project, if it was open source, if it was privacy first, I don't think there's any better way really to show that trust, to show that transparency, and to build that trust than to basically, here's our code. Here's the code. You can actually inspect it, review it, you can download it, you can install it on your machine, you can run it, and you can see, does it make calls you're not expecting? Does it do this? Does it do that? And I think the way the web is and the cloud, it's just, I don't think there's a better way to do that these days than basically opening the code. And I think if you really wanted to build trust and show this transparency, I think that's the best way to do it. So I would recommend it. And just this some of these downsides you have to think about, because it's not all all advantages.
Not all sunshine and rainbows. What if someone was making a, not so privacy focused, it's a GPT wrapper, or I guess those are popular these days, or whatever. Would you say open source for marketing purposes? Because it seems like it's helped you guys from a marketing standpoint, at least somewhat. Or is the downside?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's that more depends on the audience, I guess, you're targeting. If the audience is more technical, and but yeah, I mean, like I as a marketer, I also, before I joined Plausible, I used open source products. I used Firefox, I used WordPress. So I there's this this trust in the community. That's what many open source have in common, and people love that, and that gets them deeper, like a closer connection with the company, with the project, with the brand, and they share it more. And places like Hacker News are more accessible if you're open. So yeah, I would say, and you have something like GitHub as a kind of a distribution avenue. So yeah, I would say there are positives for many other projects, and like say all this AI tools, for them, I think most of them are closed source. So if you can come with one, there are a couple that are more open, and then they are the ones that actually get a lot more attention from these kind of technical circles, and so yeah, there's that aspect that open source projects can get more word of mouth and build a bigger community than closed source projects in some cases, some niches.
And going back to, I believe it was that blog post you wrote that was about hitting $1 million ARR. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, I remember reading on that blog post about the time you published it. So years ago. That's how long I've been aware of Plausible. So it's so cool to talk to you.
Nice.
But I remember,
glad to hear that.
I remember something you said in that was about your marketing strategy, and it was basically something like, write good content and publish it, and it was just very simple, or something like that. Could you, for one, maybe correct me on kind of what that statement was, because I remember it's like so simple and so beautiful. And then two, I would love to hear about your experience doing that, because I think there's so much pressure in the marketing world to just do so many things, whether that's social content, ads, affiliate partnerships, et cetera, et cetera. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. For one, kind of what is your marketing philosophy now? Has it changed any? And then two, are you ever feel like you're missing out by not pursuing some channels?
Good question. I mean, when I joined Uku and joined Plausible, I basically did what I knew how to do. So I previously I worked in content marketing, social media, blogging. This is what I knew. I knew how to write. I didn't know how to create videos, or I never did a podcast and things like that. I have a very little experience with paid ads and things like that. So I basically just did what I knew how to do and what I have a lot of experience with, and what I actually thought that was actually the right channel for Plausible, being a privacy first alternative to Google. So we basically created tons of content, and I just wrote about everything from day one when I joined. Started not really, you cannot really call it marketing pages. I just started writing useful information, like educational content, informative content, basically content that did not promote Plausible as in the front. It was more like some topics, such as the first blog post I wrote was something like 7 reasons why you should remove Google links from your website. And I list reasons, and at the end I will mention, okay, we're plausible as the last like a conclusion. So you could, those 7 reasons, they can be written by anyone. I could just remove that conclusion. There will be no mentions of plausible. So basically, I wrote content that's educational, informative in general, and then indirectly or at the end and so on, I will kind of mention plausible and that what we're working on. So, and I think that kind of content marketing angle has been going on for decades now. And I think even with the AI tools and all that, kind of the threat, the kind of that marketing world is facing, I think even with that, like if you build content, to create content that helps people, answers their questions, teaches them something, I think there's always space for that. And for us, it worked. Now, obviously, we're kind of more established now. We have a stronger brand, and a lot of people know the name, and they just search for us as a name. That's how they found us. But basically, early on, I think that the day before I joined, we had 1 visitor from Google. That's it. So really, publishing content was useful in getting, like I mentioned before, in communities like Hacker News, Indie Hackers, getting people talk about it on Twitter. And then obviously it helped eventually that we get, I don't know, like 700-800 people from Google per day these days. And even ChatGPT is really growing, is our source over the last 3 months or so. And also that is basically thanks to the brand that we built over this, years of publishing regular useful content, and people then learning about us, learning about what we do, and not necessarily signing up immediately after they read the post, but knowing about the brand, and then maybe 3 months down the line, they may get a need for analytics tool, and then they remember, oh, I remember reading that, and those guys are doing this, something that may be useful. Maybe now I'll go and search for them and find them out. So I think this is what I knew, and I still think if we were to start today, I think despite 5 years being a long time in the marketing world and AI and things changing, I think it can still be a very powerful way to promote your brand. So even to this day, we're not using paid ads, affiliates. We don't really pay anyone. We've never paid anyone to promote us. So we still only do content, and social media, and we build a lot of good features and have a product that people love. So that's still what we do, and we're still growing. Like I mentioned, May was our best month yet, and so I think it still works. Whether it will work 1 year down the line or next month, we don't know. And whether we need to change something, maybe. But so far so good. It continues to deliver.
What's the rationale behind not doing things like paid ads or affiliates? Because I can't imagine the temptation that's there of always the constant growth. Like I assume you have to be acquiring customers profitably right now. So investing some of that profit in acquiring more customers. And I think there's always this I feel like the adage is like grow or die. And it seems like, looking at it from the outside, is like, well, if you're not doing these things, then you're not growing as fast as you can. Is that true? Or how do you resist the temptation and just kind of maintain your lane as far as not doing these other things?
I don't know if we ever had any temptation, because we are growing, like, I don't know now if somebody can do like some fancy chart or report and can like, oh, you could grow this much if you did this, or you could, you're losing out on this as you're not doing that. Maybe somebody can do that, but we don't have those kind of projections. We don't have any goals, actually. Like, we're happy to have a sustainable project that has 15,000 paying subscribers, and we're growing, and we have a team that we have now, and so I think actually the biggest source behind this is that we don't have any investors. So I think a lot of this kind of grow like insane kind of goals, it comes from the fact that the investors, venture capitalism is pushing that onto founders, that kind of, because that their whole business model is like investing in other companies, and hopefully 2 of them will turn into unicorns, and that means that all these 100 companies have to go crazy aggressive into growing to try to be that unicorn, even though 99 or whatever of them will fail. So yeah, I think if you kind of remove yourself out from that world and those kind of pressures, then the temptation doesn't really exist there as much, because we are profitable, we're sustainable, we're stable, we're growing still, and like, I guess turning on the ads or whatever, maybe we can grow faster, but that means we will need to maybe hire somebody to do the ads, or maybe get better at the ads, or yeah. So basically, we're a small team, and we just haven't really had the time to kind of say, okay, let's explore. Content is one, and social media, but let's explore all the other channels and see. Like, for example, I've worked as an affiliate manager for, I think, 6 years or so in the past life, and yeah, I know that that kind of market very, very deeply, and so yeah, we could say, okay, we should maybe turn on the affiliate and see how it performs for Plausible, because you never know, but maybe we can find out 1 or 2 affiliates that deliver outsized return to us. But it's just, yeah, we really haven't felt tempted. Maybe it's because we're growing. Maybe if we kind of stop growing and start declining, or become stagnant, maybe we will feel more pressured internally, just because we have a team and need to, salaries and raises and bonuses and all that. Maybe we will feel a need for it, but so far we haven't, which is actually good that we have all these options available for us. We have not tried it. Maybe they actually work 10 times better than what we do already for 5 years, 6 years now. But we just, we're ignorant in that sense. Like, we haven't tried it, so we don't know. Yeah, I don't really have a better example, better reasoning behind it than what I tried to explain here.
So when you say there's no temptation of like, what if we doubled our business and we start running ads, we double our top line revenue?
Well, what will that mean for us? We're already profitable.
You don't want more Lamborghinis?
I don't even have the first one. So I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't think it's that. I mean, it's not like we're saying no, like to having more revenue. It's more like I guess we're kind of content and happy with the way we're growing right now, and that means that we can run a cool company actually. Like many of I think actually all of our developers, actually we have 8 in the team are developers out of 11, and I'm pretty sure all of them actually work 4 days per week. We can offer 4 days per week, so they don't work like 5 days, they don't work 6 days or whatever the average like the crazy hours that you hear about from kind of Silicon Valley startups. So 4 days per week, flexible working hours, flexible working space, work from anywhere you want. We pay competitive salaries. So basically, we have this calm approach, which, so basically, to grow double the fast, I'm pretty sure many of these things will not be able to coexist. We will have to put lots more effort, lots more money into marketing. That means more pressure into delivering new features faster, more risk and more work, more stress. So basically, we've like, as a small company that wants to keep kind of control of everything and wants to stay independent and kind of be sane and calm, we've just decided to do things this way. And if that means that somebody can make a report that tells us that we're losing out of growth here and there because we're not doing this and that, so be it. I think we're happy as it is. Now, are we stupid or ignorant or whatever? I don't know. Like, it is what it is. It's like I guess it's like a approach, attitude or philosophy that we're just happy the way we are.
Well, maybe this is my Silicon Valley adjacent marketing speak talking. Churnkey, who runs this podcast, not in Silicon Valley, but we do have investors. So take this with a grain of salt. I think if I was in your position and running marketing, I would be very nervous. It has too high of a risk tolerance for me. Just publishing content, because I think now content's going to be, it's cheaper than ever with LLMs, and it's going to get cheaper. And I think, say Google or even ChatGPT, social media, it's all going to get flooded. So I think it's going to be harder to stand out. So if I was in Plausible, I'd be like, guys, our risk level in the next 1 to 3 years is actually really high, that we have to invest in these channels, just so that 3 years down the road that we're so confident that we can pay other people's salaries, whether that's social ads or Google ads or whatever.
Yeah.
But that would actually scare me a lot. Is if I just had like, I mean, I know you have different traffic channels. Like it sounds like your content's getting distributed in a lot of different places. But still, like it all kind of comes down to content, which to me would
Yeah.
just frighten me some.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, could be. Like I mentioned before, like things change so fast that we don't know. Like if we started today, we don't know if doing content only would have worked. It worked for us, and now we've been here for 6 years something. And I think at this stage, if you look at the frequency of the content we publish is very slower than it used to be 3, 4, 5 years ago. And at this stage, we have this brand that's more known and the trusted, and we have such a high volume of paying subscribers, and between them so many team members that basically, like I mentioned before, ChatGPT, which is like the new thing in the marketing, as in it's like over the last 3 years, I think they've grown so much in terms of referral traffic, and they just refer so they almost beat Google now in terms of new trial signups for Plausible. With
So,
way less visit. I think Google sends something like 800 per day. ChatGPT is something like 100. But in terms of actually conversions and trial signups from those, they're like pretty much equal. And if the last 3 months continue or the next 3 months, ChatGPT will beat Google in terms of signups. So I think something somewhere has kind of there's been like something we've kind of gone over some kind of threshold somewhere that now we have this brand that's well known and people trust, and it ends up to kind of, it feels like at this stage it's more like us not screwing it up, like us kind of following what we stand for and what people expect from us, and what we've been doing for the last 6 years, and like continue that. We're open source, we're simple, we're lightweight and fast loading, and we were accurate, and that kind of basically continuing what the brand stands for seems like the best investment we can make into trying to to keep that growth. And now if something comes and eats us, something new, like again, like I mentioned, I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow or 3 months down the line or next year. So because we don't have all this kind of growth goals and pressures, we try kind of not to think about it too much, other than do what we can control, which is making sure that our product is the best it can be, and that we kind of that people can trust us.
and any tips on growing a strong brand? Because I think Plausible does have an incredibly strong brand. Like I think all over the internet, you're known as very lightweight, simple, honest analytics. Any tips on growing a strong brand other than do good things and publish it?
What is it's like I've never tried to grow a brand before. Like I had the experience with content marketing from a huge brand, and I was like a tiny piece of the huge marketing team that was doing ads and TV shows and this and that, and so I never tried to build a brand before, and I didn't really like attempt. Period. I just started. Let's publish the content and tell people what we stand for, and kind of push that message. And we've been doing that now for 6 years, and it feels like that consistency in like being true to your word and like showing that legacy. Now there's that 6 years that nobody can take away from us. That we've been here. What we said 6 years ago is actually what we do today. We have not changed, because many startups kind of things change, and it's not that reliable and kind of stable. But we've been stable, and the message we sent 6 years ago is just as valid today as it was then. And I think that's a big part. That kind of the time and the kind of consistency is a big part of how we were able to build this brand, because we were saying the same message, like we're privacy first, we're simple to use, we're accurate, and we like remove all the bots and whatever. We're lightweight and we're fast to load, and we don't slow down your website. We're open and transparent. So all that message has been pushed in so many different ways over the last 6 years that kind of stays there. It's stuck, and it's like people have heard about it and people trust it, because we have not done anything to kind of go against some of these things that we've been talking about for 6 years. So I think that's actually my best learning, I guess, or advice that I can give is like this consistency in doing and continuing what you're talking about and just basically pushing that same message. That's what builds you the trust and the kind of the brand in the market space. At least it worked for us, and I assume it could work for others too.
But yeah, I'm actually curious about one thing. So I was looking on your site earlier, and I forgot to mention this to you before the podcast. So let me know if we need to edit this out. You'd rather not answer. I noticed your pricing starts at like $9 a month, and then the highest pricing I could find. I know you have your enterprise plan, which is hidden, but the highest pricing I could see on the site was like $350 a month, something like that,
Yeah.
or 400 a month. I don't remember what it was. So it was just a very small gap between like your biggest spenders and your smallest spenders. So like if I'm thinking about like sort of like your distribution of customers and like how much you have like a circle that's like all of your customers, like how much does any one customer fill that circle? It's not very much. Like it seems like
No, not at all. I
yeah,
think no, I think we out of these 15,000 customers, we have like a bunch of because our pricing is based on like usage, mostly like how many page users your site get. That's how much you pay. So you get little pages, you pay little. You get a lot of pages, you pay more, and it kind of makes sense. Like if you have a business, the more pages you get, the chances are you will probably make more revenue, and then it makes sense that you also have to pay more for analytics. While it also makes sense from our perspective, like the more pages you get, the more it costs for us to store it, to help you retrieve it at any time, and so on. So it kind of makes sense in that sense. And yeah, like we have, I don't think there's like maybe 0.1%. Like the biggest customer is probably like 0.1%. I mean, we have customers that pay us thousands per month, but they stand for so little of the whole MRR or ARR that it kind of, we're happy to have them. We will do everything to kind of keep them, but it's not like we're like the last company I worked with. We had two customers who stood for more than 50% of our revenue. And in a situation like that, it basically means you work for these two customers.
you're a
Whatever they
consultancy.
want you to do, you have to do, because you just cannot lose either one of them. And this is another, but I guess by chance it happened to us that we actually don't have somebody that we really have to listen in that sense. Like, okay, you have to build this, or else we'll leave you. Either if it doesn't, maybe we will build it because it fits with what we want to build and how we see Plausible. But if we don't agree with what we have to build next, it is what it is. We will never promise you that we will build it if it doesn't fit our worldview and what we think Plausible stands for. So we don't have, like, in that sense, we don't have anyone, like, nobody can tell, even from that perspective, nobody can tell us what to do. We do listen to people, and we do kind of prioritize according to how many people want what. But there's not like one customer or a few customers that can kind of like, if you're unlucky, you get a big customer, and then they tell you, we want to do this, and that's not like privacy first. And then you have to do it just because you got to please them. And then you got to change the whole positioning of your company. And it's like luckily for us, we don't have these situations. So the pricing actually worked out that I think like the average revenue per user is something like $30 or something. Like pretty low, I guess. Like it's not something people will be like very, very like, ooh, wow, kind of all the other founders, But we start low and we try to keep it affordable. And if you have more traffic, you end up paying more. Hopefully, because you also have a much more revenue because of all that traffic. But if you have 5,000 visitors per month, you end up paying $9, or you can even get a discount if you sign up on annual and pay I don't know, 7.5 or whatever it is. So I think that also kind of we're not free, unfortunately, like Google Analytics is, but I think starting at $9, this kind of makes it affordable. So a decent percentage of businesses and websites out there can afford it in case they find it valuable enough to have a privacy first analytics or accurate analytics or lightweight or easy to understand and easy to read and so on. So yeah, I think yeah, I was really grateful that we don't have that kind of situation that I don't know from the past, where like one or two customers really determines your roadmap. So yeah, that's the status for us. Like lots of basically smaller customers.
And you mentioned Google Analytics is free, not news to anybody. And I think if you had told me about the idea for Plausible paid analytics before Plausible had existed, I would have called you crazy because Google Analytics was pretty good and it was totally free. So what's that like competing with a giant that is both huge and free?
Yeah, it's I mean, again, I did not know what to expect coming into this. I never paid for analytics before. I only knew Google Analytics, and I was like I used Google Analytics on my websites, and the companies I worked for, we used them for 2 decades or something. Um, they did have some analytics tool, about 10 years ago in another company I worked for where we had to pay, but that was more like product analytics and things like that. So I did not know what to expecting here, and I think there's been like the movement over the last few years, like this privacy first movement, started with the GDPR and some of these scandals around data privacy, and and somehow also at the same time people started getting more comfortable at paying for tools. Like I want to pay for quality tool that really works for me rather than try to fit mold some other tool that's for free but doesn't really work for me, trying to mold my kind of work life around it. And there's enough people at this stage that they're happy to pay for quality tools and happy to pay for privacy and lots of these things that we stand for that yeah, I think maybe if we started 20 years ago, whatever, that will be like nowhere to go. But I think at this stage, I actually don't know if there's any tool that any kind of niche, any market where you can like go and like say, oh, people don't want to pay for this at all. Like I think there should be enough like people out there that are happy to pay for somebody who can dedicate themselves to something special and like kind of build it and kind of focus really on that little niche that you really care about, and then you're happy to give them a percentage of your revenue or of your earnings on your website or in your company because they really tick those boxes. And then if that's the case, then really that there are free alternatives doesn't really make a difference for us. Like if there are free alternatives and you don't care about these things that we do, then okay, you're not really we have no hope in kind of getting you to pay us our fees if you don't care about what we do. And then you can not our customer, not our target audience at all. But if you have some issues with Google, some of these things that we actually do, then it's likely actually that you will want to solve those issues. And then you know that Google is free because of all the data collection and all the surveillance capitalism and whatever runs Google. And we don't do any of that. That means that if we don't sell your data, don't monetize your data in any way, how do we exist as a company? How do we pay the salaries? How do we improve the product every day? And that means somebody has to pay somewhere. And we have no investors either. We're not like looking for a big sell down the line and being a unicorn. So that basically means if you want to have a product like Plausible, you basically have to kind of contribute a little bit if we kind of make your life better and make your business run more efficiently or you help your marketing do better. So I think it's ended up being kind of nice. Again, I don't know like what will happen the 3 months down the line, whether something will change. But I think we found, like I mentioned, 15,700 something active paying subscribers with tens of thousands of different team members within those 15,000 or so subscribers. So we found a bunch of people around the web, around the world that kind of align with our interests, with what we believe in, and that are happy to kind of pay us, even though they have alternatives that they can use for free.
Amazing. And I think, so I know we're running out of time here. So if people want to learn more about you, what you're doing, where should they go?
Yeah, Plausible Analytics. You can search for our brand. Plausible.io is the URL, the domain name. That's where we are. I have some social media profiles as well, but I'm really not that active anymore. Really these days we're really focused on Plausible, and we have this team that we're working on and that we're working with to build a better product. And yeah, we have a Richa who's our social media person. So we also have like social media is active. Plausible social media, which I used to write in the first 5 years. Now we have there's that actually. If you want to follow like and get recent updates, you can actually follow Plausible the brand on social media. But yeah, basically I have my own profiles, but you may get like a one update per month or something like that. If I this is interesting to share, or we achieved this, let me share it. When I see some of the other, like they have so much content, I just like, I get a bit overwhelmed thinking like, how do I actually get to, should I get an assistant or AI to write me all this social media posts or something? But no. So basically, I just write here and there, and basically most of my effort and time goes into Plausible. So that's where the highest chance you will hear from me.
Amazing. Well, Marko, thank you so much. It's been a great episode, and I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Brady.